In this video, we're going to ask probably quite a dumb question. That question is, how many photographs can I get of this boat or its immediate surroundings in, I don't know, half an hour, whatever it happens to be. Now, far from this being just a bit of mindless entertainment for you, it's actually a really important exercise, and it's one that perhaps I don't do often enough, and if I don't do it, I can't be alone in that. The whole idea is to exhaust as much as we can the possibilities in this boat and its surroundings. And I mean, if you're good at this, you're going to fill a memory card. What it requires us to do is to look at it in so many ways and think about it and be mindful of what it is, what it's used for, how it's used, how it's maintained, what its story is, and capture images that tell that story in a few photographs or a few hundred photographs. We're not going to do that many. We're not. I mean, seriously, it's the kind of exercise that any creative really should do when they're looking at a subject. A writer would think about how the paint is peeling off, how much water is in it, how little maintenance there is on the gunnel here. This vessel has a story to tell. It might not be an exciting story, but it might be whatever story you want it to tell. And you're going to do that through the medium of photography. Doing this exercise will make us look at the boat in perhaps its whole, but also its constituent parts. We don't have to take a photograph of the whole of the boat. In actual fact, I would suggest that probably a lot of my photographs will be of parts of the boat, perhaps telling a story of how it got here or when it was last used, a whole bunch of possibilities. It's a powerful exercise. Now, one of the techniques that I would encourage you to use when you're doing something like this, and of course you don't have to come to Blakeney and find this boat. I mean, it probably won't be here in a month or so in any case, because it will be wheeled away somewhere when the rest of these yachts here are gone. The whole point is that you find a subject and you stick with the subject, however small or large it is. I've done this before with flowers and a banana. There's a video up in the corner up here about a banana, would you believe? But most recently I did a video from the neighbouring village to here. Most popular video ever. I suggest you go and watch it because 27,000 people can't be wrong. The main topic of that video is taking photos about something and not of something. I'm not going to go into this a lot here because I want you to go and watch the other one, and it's going to be more fully explained there. We're going to be looking at aspects of this more than we're going to be looking at the whole, because in fairness to the situation here, there's a car park there. It's not terribly photogenic. I've got a whole bunch of people normally walking past here, so shooting in this direction requires me to be very, very, very specific in what I'm pointing the camera at, so that we're not getting superfluous confusion in the shot. Whereas looking in this direction, it's a whole lot more picturesque. And the scene you've got there is actually quite nice in itself. You know, a boat up on the hard, water down there, bit of sky. Not a bad shot as it stands, is it? One of the things that attracted me to this, and it's one of the things that attracts me to boats, this photography subjects in general, is rope. And we've got a painter coming off here. That's the rope off the front of the bow. Sorry for the technical term. I'll try to avoid them in future. What we've got with these is just texture. It's texture, texture, texture. Sometimes colour and texture, but mostly it's texture. They're so intricate, aren't they? And what we've also got at the front here is some damage to the I don't know the technical term, the front bit here. It's kind of missing. It's rotting away. The paint's flaking off of it. You can see rotten wood underneath it. It's a nice looking thing, and it's a perfect subject for a photograph. And I'm certain actually there's lots of angles we can work this boat with just this section here, and possibly also running off to the mooring pin over there as well. We've got the opportunity of looking straight down on it and getting a shot there. We've got an opportunity perhaps of coming in from over here and looking into it, following the rope as a line. We've got the intricate nature of this coastal plant here, whatever it is. There's lots that we can do with this. For sure, one of the best pieces of composition advice you can give to any photographer or take as a photographer, and even if you already know this, you probably need reminding of it at some point, is if you change the way that you look at something, what you're looking at changes. Employing exactly that kind of argument here, if I put this on video, you'll see that if I'm here, I'm getting quite a different view of the boat from as if I'm looking here. It's kind of what I'm saying is, don't just stand at a head height, stick your eye through the viewfinder, maybe stoop a bit or step here and there. Yeah, do these things, but explore more. You know, it's not just saying, oh, that's a nice shot, bang, done. Explore, and it doesn't matter if you run off more than one shot of the thing from inches different. It will probably help you in actual fact. But here, you know, it's a case of trying to find where this kind of works. Now, as I was saying earlier, I'm going to stop that video. As I was saying earlier about looking in this direction, it's just car park, but actually if I pull into the boat a little more and just keep pointing down, yeah, it's car park, but it's actually a whole bunch of puddles which are reflecting the sky. They're really not that bad. I'm going to set this to quite a low aperture, and I'm going to focus on the ring at the very front. I didn't get the puddle behind there, so I'm going to do another one. Just couple of shots, simple but actually really rather effective. The flaking paint of the boat tells us that the surface wasn't keyed properly in the first place before painting it, so yeah, the new grey paint hasn't been able to adhere properly to the yellowy whatever it is underneath, and that's part of the story of the boat, but it gives us quite some interest throughout the vessel here. Now, I've got to be honest, at the minute I'm not seeing a photo, but I think one of the reasons for that is I'm seeing the whole thing. Yeah, I don't have a square boundary around my eyes, and that really can hamper us when we're looking for detail in a big wide area here. You know, we kind of need blinkers to see this, but luckily certainly mirrorless cameras and DSLRs and phones, of course, have got live view. You can simply point at something and say, well, what does that look like? Was that any good, or is that any good? So as dumb as the idea may sound, get your screen, get it live and start pointing at things. Now, if they're too far away, you may have to change lens, or I don't advocate you step inside. It's not my boat, or not your boat. Could be your boat, I suppose. But we simply go and look for things in here. I've got something here that looks a bit like the outline of an island complex. I quite like this. It's very close to the edge of the seat, though. I like that. What else have we got here? There's quite a lot on this side. Here, maybe. Not sure about that one. Maybe getting really close to this here is quite interesting. I do like that, actually. Quite abstract. Do we like it abstract? When we look above the seat. I'm not so sure about that, but hey, Don't worry whether the shot's no good. The key thing is that you're exploring, and that's the important thing about this. I actually like it from this side a bit more. Come in a bit closer. I'd like to invite you to help me pay for my National Trust membership. How contrived is this? The car park isn't free, I have to pay there, but I have an annual membership to the National Trust, which is a charity that looks after a great deal of England's heritage. That allows me to park here for free. It's not a great deal every year, but it allows me to get out and make these kind of videos for you. If you can afford to buy me a coffee, there's a link down below, and that would be wonderful. But don't feel obliged to. Yeah, I'll continue making the videos if you do or if you don't, probably. If you'd like to support me regularly, you can join the channel. There's at least one new video each week, relatively short one, normally midweek, that shows other things, other exploits, other ideas, and the like. And there's a link down just below to join that. But hey, again, you don't have to. What I would like you to do though is click the like button, and if you haven't already subscribed, well, there's a button for that as well. Now, for a lot of these shots I'm using a relatively wide aperture, probably no less or no more open than kind of f3.5, 3.5, because what I'm trying to do is focus only on the part that interests me at the time, and by throwing the rest of the boat or the area that we're looking at into soft focus, we keep the essence of what it is we're looking at, unless obviously it's very abstract, but we keep that essence, and it helps tell that story. Just keeps the mind looking at what it is that I want you to look at.
So this is going to sound very much like I'm preparing you for some truly uninspiring photos. But of course I need to emphasise that the aim of this exercise is to get you really looking at your subject. You need to find elements of interest, unusual angles, perspectives, light, shadows, textures, colour, basically everything about it.
I don't think that one's going to work, but the whole idea of that one is to try and capture this flaking paint with the very soft outline of the hull and the keel down there in the background, again ensuring that you know that this is a boat and that's a bit of paint off of it.
So, having already primed you for some uninspiring images, here's a few that aren't up to my normal excellent standard. I made a load of frames of this boat, and many of them just didn't work. Some because of my choice of aperture, others because of my choice of position and angle, and some because of the subject or framing was just off. This is all fine, it's part of the learning process, and I'm not just saying that because I screwed up on many of these shots. I screw up on many shots most of the time. You, of course, only get to see the better ones. The shallow depth of field of many of these was an artistic choice, and I didn't do a good job in some cases. And in fairness, the failure of some of these images was more my lack of attention to the lighter areas, which I absolutely know need to be treated with care, as your eye will always be drawn to the lighter areas. Some of these mistakes can be corrected in post-production, others not. Some are worth correcting, others simply aren't. I would encourage you to conduct this exercise often. Try revisiting a subject and create images that deal with the deficiencies of the previous attempts. After a while, select a different subject and repeat. There's a convincing argument for selecting more or less detailed subjects as well. A more detailed subject can lead to many more possible frames, which can help you spot possible images, whereas a less detailed one will force you to be more creative in your approach and get different outcomes. Why not have a look at this video here? It will give you a very different take on the same exercise. Or this one that will help you pre-visualize your images before you press the shutter. I hope the video has been useful. Like, subscribe and share if it has. See you next week. Thanks for watching.